It turns out the Indian Auto Expo is back, but is it back with a bang? Hit or a miss? You got to stay tuned, but one thing which is a sure takeaway is that EVs were the key focus of this Auto Expo. So we got an EV on the show to give you a truly electric experience. In fact, it's a 7-seater electric SUV from the German stables. All that and a lot more on this special episode of Tech Today. Quick pop quiz for those of you watching. I'm going to make a statement and I want you to correct me. The statement is simple. The Indian Auto Expo 2023 is a grand influential event for automotive enthusiasts. Sounds about right, but I might be wrong on a couple of fronts. Automotive enthusiasts. If you go by this Auto Expo, there seem to be so many EV launches that had us technology enthusiasts absolutely enthused by the Auto Expo. That said, it being the most influential and grand event on the automotive calendar might be a little bit of a misnomer because a lot of observers are calling it a damp squib. Why so though? BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Skoda, Volkswagen and even Mahindra & Mahindra decided to give this edition of the Auto Expo a miss. A lot of analysts and observers and insiders have said that's because it is largely an irrelevant event for a lot of brands. A lot of these brands and others have held independent outdoor events which could have cost a lot more money, but they believe they are reaching their target audience. Not only that, they believe this is a poor return on investment, and the timing of the event happening in the peak of the cold winter in New Delhi and of course the weather have made it an event which has been largely irrelevant this time around, shockingly so. That said, there were a bunch of brands that did make a slew of announcements. Here's Tech Today rounding it all up for you in truly electric fashion.
The biggest auto show in the country made a comeback after 3 long years, and this time with special limelight on the electric vehicle segment. Especially on the first day, EVs hogged all the limelight at the Auto Expo 2023 with the likes of Maruti Suzuki, Hyundai, Kia, Tata Motors and MG Motor showcasing their futuristic products. While also committing to invest in sustainable mobility, it turned out to be a treat indeed for auto and tech enthusiasts. The show began with a global premiere of Maruti Suzuki's first ever electric vehicle, the EVX. The concept EVX is a mid-size electric SUV concept designed and developed by Suzuki Motor Corporation, the SMC Japan. It will be powered by a 60 kWh battery pack, offering up to 550 kilometers of driving range on a single charge, and it will cost about 15 lakh rupees. SMC Representative Director and President Toshihiro Suzuki has said that the company now plans to bring this electric SUV to the market by 2025. Now, the company has also pledged 100 billion rupees for the production of batteries of electric vehicles. And here's another car maker, Kia India, who's also unveiled an all-electric SUV Kia Concept EV9 and said that it plans to invest 2,000 crores over the next 4 years to scale up its presence in the electric vehicle segment. Now, it's impossible to talk about EVs in India and not talk about Tata Motors. At the Auto Expo, Tata Motors showcased over 20 products across its passenger and commercial vehicles portfolio. However, the highlight of the company's showcase here is the Tata Sierra EV, which is likely to hit the markets in 2025, and the EV version of its mid-sized SUV Harrier that's likely to be commercially launched by next year. The company has also introduced 2 concept EV cars, Curve and Avinya. And as the Auto Expo went on, it definitely brought hopes for a cleaner and greener tomorrow, but at the same time kept things quite interesting with sophisticated technology. So, will an electric SUV here be your choice of car next? Do let us know which one and why.
So many headlines from the Auto Expo, but it seemed to be a slightly dull affair. That's because a lot of the top automakers from around the world chose not to participate in Auto Expo 2023. We've brought you the best from it, whatever we could salvage from the Auto Expo, and there have been a bunch of announcements to give them their due credit. But the car I'm sitting in right now was announced a short while before the Auto Expo, and it's an EV we've been tracking very, very enthusiastically on Tech Today, the Mercedes-Benz EQB 300. Out here in the flesh, what's it like? Tech check, vibe check, and really, should you be investing your hard-earned money in this 7-seater electric SUV? Well, let's find out. What's special about this particular EV is it's the cheapest such EV from Mercedes, although it costs 75 lakhs, but it is completely imported, hence it's a little more expensive. Maybe if they were assembling it here in India, it would be a little cheaper. Is this the ideal city car? We've been driving it a little bit on the highway, and in terms of range anxiety, we have felt that a little bit because it says 420 plus kilometers is the sort of range you get, but honestly that's the promised range. When you get this out and you're driving it in its true avatar, which is flicking this switch down and hitting it into sport mode. One gripe that I have with this electric SUV is taking U-turns. No matter what estimate you take for a U-turn, you end up very often in a city like Mumbai backing up and taking a second attempt at it. Let's talk a little bit about drive quality. It's very blunted, and the minute you do put it from comfort mode into sport mode, and I advise you strongly not to use it in eco mode, the car suddenly gets so much pacier, very torquey, and you press the accelerator and you are in full Johnny Quest mode. It feels like you are in a very high performance EV, and that's how it should be coming from the Mercedes stables. The EQB 300 is on an existing platform. Let's be honest, it's very similar to the GLB, and like I said, it's a bit pricier, but honestly, if you want to have that confidence when you're overtaking on the highways or even in the city, really knowing that you're going to hit 0 to 100 in this much time, and the braking is spot on as well. I'm taking this breaker now, and everything seems so much more in your control. Maybe that's a tech geek talking, because that's what happens in an electric vehicle. Well, a pro and con in the Mercedes EQ line is the assistance on the settings. The first thing when you do end up driving this car on an Indian road in a busy Indian city is go on the vehicle settings, click on assistance, then go on active brake assist. And honestly, if you're an alert driver, switch this off, because this can actually be a double-edged sword and brake even when you don't need to, and it's quite an uncomfortable experience for the passengers in the car. So, quick tip on the Mercedes EQB. Kudos to Mercedes really for figuring out simple technology hacks that can make your overall experience a lot safer and a little more fun at the same time. I'll tell you how. If you're opening the door in the EQB, like other Mercedes, the ambient lighting is not just a gimmick. What it actually does is it starts flashing red if there's any sort of dangerous situation, a passerby, maybe a vehicle oncoming. It automatically signals to you that, hey, this is not safe. Similarly, they've given you a trackpad over here to use this particular infotainment system, and this particular unit is absolutely amazing in terms of all the things that you can do. Of course, you can customize it, but the fact that you have maps right over here, I think that makes it so much easier. For instance, if you want to get your navigation, your turns, turn-by-turn navigation, it's easily available over here. Now, if you aren't very pleased with this particular setup, you can get your navigation on the right side. If you don't want your navigation on the right side, then you can get all sorts of consumption stats and, of course, other things in the EQB. So if you're looking at the cabin in the front, the driving position is all right. You can obviously adjust the steering the way you want it. I usually like it a little bit higher over here, and even the seating position, I don't want it to be too reclined and too much sunken in, because this is an SUV feel. The good thing is visibility. You get fantastic visibility with these two bumps over here. Very sporty, very SUV-like vibes. In terms of design, of course, you can spot that this is an EV from a distance, be it the front grille, that sort of lighting in the front, the way the LEDs light up, the EQB branding on the side, and of course, there's one thing that gives it away, especially if you stop at a petrol pump, which is here on the right side, and it happens to be the charging. In terms of charging, there's a bunch of options. If you go by what comes in the car, there's an 11 kilowatt AC charger, and that takes you around 6.5 hours to charge this particular vehicle, which is great because it's coming with the car. That's something you can travel with. And then if you want fast charging, what this car is capable of is 100 kilowatts. And that means in around half an hour, you have a full charge. Look, this isn't as expensive as the EQS 580, and it's not as fancy on the inside as well. But if you're still spending 70 plus lakh rupees, and if it's semi-practical for some, maybe urban families, even though it's a 7-seater, the one thing you consider is boot space, which is negligible if you have this configuration in the car. So if you fold this last row of seats, you might get 450 liters of boot space. You fold the second row as well, and you'll get 1600 liters. But then that's not practical because you bought a 7-seater and you're just using the first two seats. You might be better off with other cars in the market. So if you're taking the EQB out on the highway, there'll be two impediments. The first one for a 7-seater electric SUV from the German stables is the boot space. You either get 7 family members or you take the boot space. You pack light and you're good to go. But then you have to face the second obstacle, which happens to be the range on the EQB. If it's giving you 400 kilometers and you're worried about a charging station, then the question about range anxiety begins again if you're out on a long trip. So maybe I think this is an ideal city SUV. Well, if you sat here, let's be honest, it's a very frugal cabin right over here. It's spacious enough if you can actually adjust these seats, and they can be adjusted quite a bit at 6 feet tall. My head's right here with the sunroof. It feels a little comfortable, but otherwise there's not much to do over here. You do have these collapsible and foldable cup holders for your morning cuppa, but over here it seems like any ordinary car. But then again, it is an SUV and you don't want it to look like some very futuristic EV. You do want to have the basic, bare minimum, rudimentary SUV feel as well. So you've seen the second row. In terms of the third row, someone who's over 5 feet 3 inches or 5 feet 4 inches tall will struggle on a long drive, even in the city. It's okay for the kids, but if you're not going with the full family, the full jing bang, then I would suggest that you fold the third row, get that boot space, and of course enjoy the drive in the Mercedes EQB. All in all, the Mercedes EQB 300 is an absolute pleasure to drive. I remember when everyone was questioning all the German automakers about what the future of automotive is all about, and Tesla was grabbing all the headlines. Mercedes really has sorted themselves out when it comes to electric vehicles and the drive experience. The fact being, the EQS, now the EQB, are cars which are in a league of their own. We can only hope that the battery technology gets better, battery packs get bigger, the charging infrastructure in the country obviously will get better with time, and then this sort of tech becomes a lot more affordable. An absolute pleasure to drive, a 7-seater electric SUV from the German stables, and of course, it is built for Indian cities. On Tech Today, we cover the latest and greatest in tech, and that includes electric vehicles. The electric revolution is alive and kicking here on Tech Today, and we get all sorts of EVs. You've seen the Teslas, the Mercedes, the Tatas, the Mahindras, you've seen all sorts of vehicles. But what if I told you that we've augmented our coverage at Business Today with a very special tool? In fact, the smartest tool if you are in the market for an EV. Maybe it could take away my job or this segment away from me, but I love it and I rely on it all the time. BT EVnomics, the smartest tool for EV buyers. And this is going to answer the $1 million question, which is, kitna deti hai? I'm kidding, but in a larger sense, I'm not wrong, because the question you'll all seem to ask is, does it make sense in a more polished way to actually purchase an electric vehicle in 2022 and now in 2023? Well, this tool gives you that answer and really does pit it against an ICE vehicle or a petrol or diesel car. I'll tell you how it works by giving you a live demo, and then I'll walk and talk you through it. Go on the website, which is the businesstoday.in website. Click on BT EVnomics, and once you're here, you hit next. It asks you whether buying an electric car was worth it, or can we actually save a lot more with a petrol or diesel car? Because there's several aspects. There's cost of running, cost of acquiring the car, and yes, EVs are a little bit more expensive. So this tool will then pit it against the petrol or diesel variant that you're comparing it to, and then tell you how long will it take to recover the extra cost, because yes, EVs are more expensive than their ICE counterparts. You get started by clicking on this. For a non-electric car, let me choose a Honda Jazz Automatic, and if I had to pick up an electric or a hybrid, let's pick up the Tata Nexon EV, which also happened to be the best EV on Tech Today in 2022. Now, by comparing the two, we hit the button, and in terms of daily running, how much are you going to use that car every day? If I bring it down to maybe 50 kilometers per day, hit calculate, and then the magic begins. Cost efficiency. Now that they know our requirements, you'll see the petrol-diesel car race with your selected EV to determine the time it will take to recover that additional cost that you're spending on the EV. And you can also see each car's yearly expenditure on fuel, charging and maintenance. The minute you hit go, and you love this animation and the sound, and my EV seems to be winning, and it's almost 2 years. The charging and maintenance happens to be a game changer. Four years now. 5 years, which is the sort of period that most of us would invest in a vehicle, and you figure out that you spent 8.8 lakhs on the Honda Jazz and 14 lakhs on the Nexon EV, and it would take me 5 years and 8 months to recover the cost for the EV. Of course, you can check all the other costs associated with this particular vehicle and then get all the expert speak as well. They're going to tell you about, does it make sense to buy an EV right now, and then the methodology that this particular calculator has used. So this is quite a nifty tool which augments our coverage on Tech Today and Business Today. And honestly, the only other thing you need to do with this is use this tool and then watch the electric experience on Tech Today to ensure that you have all the information needed to purchase your next vehicle, which might just be an electric one. E-commerce, transportation, real estate, technology has been a true disruptor across all sectors of the Indian economy if you look at the past few years. Payments and banking has been another revolution altogether. In fact, banking and fintech go hand in hand, a new partnership, and that happens to be the name of the panel that I was moderating at the iconic Business Today Banking and Economy Summit a couple of days ago. Here's a snippet from that particular panel.
When you're talking about security, data theft and stuff like that, what are the kind of, for the consumer, the customer, when they're transacting on, say, GPay or on the Bheem app, what are the kind of security measures that are in place that can instill that confidence, hence build that trust and create that transparency and accountability?
In fact, on building to make the payment systems safe or UPI systems safe, all conceivable steps, all conceivable, let me not list it out, are in place. Banks, the NPCI, through the videos, through many kind of workshops, they have been doing. Each and every bank has come out with a numerous advertisement, leaflets, emails. Sometimes the customers get flooded with so much of emails, without reading they will delete. Even I also, after some time, I got disgusted. You also really would delete. So all steps are being taken, but you know, people are people. You know, they will, sharing the password. Which bank is not doing enough on that? Everybody is doing. But customers, even the matured customers, so-called matured customers, they would also easily pass on the password. They will keep the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will keep the password. They will keep the, in so many ways they really compromise. So it is a process of learning, and the task is also getting more and more difficult. Lot of user behavioral analytics and artificial intelligence is being put to the fraud management solutions. In fact, knowing the limitations of the best world-class fraud management tools, that they are limited, NPCI went for its own fraud management tool, which is superior to the best possible in the world. They say that we understood the limitations of the best possible 1, 2, 3, and did our own artificial intelligence and analytics and went for that. So I suppose it is a process. From last month, RBI has in the RBI bulletin published the data about the fraud, and unfortunately international benchmark on the fraud data is not available anywhere, but RBI is in the position, publishes the benchmarking report. I believe RBI would publish the benchmarking, India's benchmark in fraud position vis-a-vis the rest of the countries in the subsequent months. That is what I gather. So that would really build a confidence that yes, there are frauds, yes, there are cases, but still then the data, the percentage of in terms of number, percentage in terms of value is substantially lower than other countries. That is what the analysts in different workshops say. I do not have any evidentiary, any specific data to really prove that point, but the data RBI is in the process of collecting. Let me assure you that RBI is seized with this matter, NPCI is seized with this matter, best of fintech players are working on this, so we are in a comfortable place. Security the fraudsters are always ahead. After Jamtara, now 3-4 mini Jamtaras have come up. In the people really keep on saying that.
We're only halfway through the month of January, and we've already had CES, the Auto Expo, and a bunch of launches in the tech world already. February now has Galaxy Unpacked on Feb 1st. There's special launches sprinkled all across the middle of February, and then there is Mobile World Congress. We're really excited on the show. We hope you're excited as well to tune in to, of course, this TV show, our social media channels, and our website, where you get all the latest and greatest from the world of tech. We hope you've enjoyed this particular episode. I'm your host Ayush Alavadi saying thanks so much for watching, and until next week, adios.